What's up, everyone? It's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. Please follow my Instagram at RussoLifts. Just in case something happens to this YouTube channel, you can follow, message, and you can watch my daily story content on Instagram. I'll see you there. What's up, everyone? It's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. Today we're going to be talking about Enclomiphene and then HCG, HMG on cycle as a test base for a SARMS only cycle. Now I'm going to link up in the card above the test base video. Go watch that. That fully explains what an androgen base is and what I mean by a test base. I'm specifically going to be addressing using the most popular thing I see, and people are linking me in my DM box at RussoLifts. There's a plug. Follow me on IG. Is that they want to know what I think of running Enclomiphene, which I also made a video for, so you can see that card as well, which is the new Clomid without most of the side effects of regular Clomid, right? Enclomiphene, I made a whole video explaining that as well, but people are now utilizing Enclomiphene as a base, and there's some stuff going around about it, and I just wanted to give my personal 2 cents on this topic because I had these same thoughts years ago when I was doing SARMS only. Like, this was before I wanted to inject test. I didn't know really about test bases. I didn't know that you needed exogenous estrogen, and that the issue with a SARMS only cycle is that as the SARMS only cycle continues, right, your androgen's being replaced, but your estrogen is slowly getting choked out, and you need estrogen to build muscle, you need estrogen for libido, you need estrogen to protect your cholesterol, you need estrogen to protect your brain. So estrogen is very important in a normal amount to have for a bodybuilder, right? So I looked around, I saw people running Clomid, and the claims back then in the forums were that you're stopping suppression, there's no need, to PCT when you're on Clomid only. So I can't find the original forum post, but someone tried Clomid on cycle, and then when they came off, they were still suppressed, right? So with Enclomiphene, and there's another topic I want to bring up, but first, with Enclomiphene, I just want people to know that it's a synthetic signaler. So it's synthetic, right? It's synthetically stimulating the gonads. It's exogenously added in, so your body is not naturally doing that LH-FSH, right? It's the mimicker, right? The Clomiphene is what's causing the stimulation, which is keeping your natural testosterone production going, which in most cases on the SARMS only cycle, it would stop because of the feedback loop of there being exogenous androgens in the body, right? So when you think about it that way, right, you realize that once the Enclomiphene half-life's out, then your natural LH and FSH have to take over, right? So it's a good way, in my opinion. I'm not against this theory entirely, right? It's a good way to keep the lights on as far as your hypothalamus gonads, them communicating with each other. But in reality, the one thing that I see people not really thinking through is downregulation for your natural LH, right? Downregulation of the receptor. So this is the great debate with HCG, HMG, and now Enclomiphene, Clomid, right? So there's really no data for me to directly see if the receptors downregulate. So I don't know, right? I don't know. I haven't done any personal experimentation, but it's possible. It's also possible that it doesn't get downregulated at all. But I slightly lead towards it's going to get downregulated depending on how much Enclomiphene you use, right? So let's say you use so much Enclomiphene, right? If you use X amount of Enclomiphene, you get this much natural testosterone production. It's mimicking this LH level, which is close to your natural LH level. Now, let's say the flip side of it, right? Let's say
you're using a higher dose of enclomiphene, you're getting more gains. You know, you want a little bit higher estrogen, you want a little bit of a stronger of a base as far as the test base goes, and you're using enclomiphene on the whole cycle, and and so you're using enclomiphene on the whole cycle, and you just want to keep your natural test super high. Well, that amount might lead to a supraphysiological LH amount, and this is where we don't know, right? We don't know if that supraphysiological LH is going to impact your natural LH after enclomiphene half-life's out, meaning like if the receptor is down-regulated because it's receiving too much signaling from all the enclomiphene, HCG, HMG in the body, does it down-regulate to where the same amount of your natural LH, once that kicks back on, yields an overall lower testosterone level? I don't know, right? There's no real thing. So I don't really know the answer to that. You know, that is my thoughts. If you're smarter than me, please comment down below if this is true or false. But that would be my biggest, concern thought when it comes to HMG, HCG, and Clomiphene on an entire cycle, relying on it as a base, not adding in a little bit of HCG to maintain fertility, right? Using a small amount, which would be pretty close to your normal LH level, right? So you aren't super hardcore, theoretically, possibly down-regulating the receptor to desensitize yourself to your own LH. That's different than using enclomiphene, using HCG as a complete base and utilizing it to achieve like a super physiological natural testosterone amount from overstimulating with synthetic LH. Would that downregulate the receptor to when you got off and tried to recover and your natural LH kicked back onto its normal, slightly below, slightly above level? Would that yield overall a less final testosterone amount from the downregulation of constantly stimulating it with synthetic LH? No idea. No data to look at. Looked around, tried to find a direct answer for you guys. Really can't. In my opinion, it could also not downregulate at all, right? There's certain receptors in the body that don't downregulate no matter how much you abuse, especially, drugs. You can see that the receptors never downregulate. But I'm leaning towards possibility that it could downregulate and impact how your natural LH, works as far as post-cycle, right? So as far as recovering natural testosterone, you're not keeping your natural testosterone, like you're still stimulating the gonads, right, to produce natural testosterone, but you're not really avoiding suppression, right? You're synthetically replacing and what would assume to be a higher than normal amount of synthetic LH to utilize as a test base. So you're not stopping suppression, right? If you took the enclomiphene out on cycle, if you ran enclomiphene for a base half the cycle and then took it out and it half-lifed out, you would still crash. Now, is there benefit to keeping the gonad stimulating, keeping the lights on, keeping spermogenesis going? Yes. But do I think that relying on it for a super physiological base is the smartest idea? Again, I don't know, right? I could be completely proven wrong with this theory that the LH does not downregulate the receptor and that your natural LH will produce the same amount of testosterone after. There's just no data for me to look at to be like, okay, this receptor doesn't downregulate if you synthetically stimulate it with a super physiological amount. So that's my thoughts on HCG, HMG, and Clomiphene as a base, right? As an androgen, as a testosterone base for a SARMS only cycle. You're not avoiding suppression, right? You're just synthetically stimulating your gonads, which is still keeping the lights on, but you will still have to go through that PCT period where everything is restarting. And the big kicker is if you're utilizing a lot of synthetic LH through one of these drugs, then will that impact your receptor and downregulate it to where when your natural LH kicks on, it yields a different testosterone number, which would be lower. I don't know. There's no data for me to directly, make a finite conclusion, but I feel like that should be the thought process if you're thinking about using Enclomiphene constantly as a base, if you're thinking about using HCG constantly as a base, or you're utilizing higher amounts of Enclomiphene, higher amounts of HCG for long periods of time, thinking that you're avoiding suppression. You're not avoiding suppression. It's synthetic, right? It's just keeping the lights on. It's keeping the connection there. It's keeping everything stimulated. But in my opinion, if you want to stimulate it like that just to keep the lights on, then you would want to use an amount that mimics your natural LH level, not a supraphysiological amount. So that's my opinion on that. I feel like a lot of people don't take that into consideration, and like I said, I could be completely wrong. It could not downregulate at all, and you could be perfectly fine to do like 2 vials of HCG a week, and then when your natural LH kicks back on after the cycle, your natural testosterone could recover completely normal. I don't know. I don't know if it would downregulate because your body's being flooded with all this LH constantly stimulating, so it overall, downregulates the receptor to where a point that once you're post-cycled and everything's half-lifed out and your natural LH is kicking back on, it's not yielding the same number it once was before adding in all that synthetic LH. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. I hope everyone is doing well, and I will see you guys in my next video.